The following announcement has been paid for by the
nOw.
What's up, everyone? Welcome back to another Nerds of Wrestling podcast. Here we are recording. If you're watching us on twitch.tv/dose of nerd acumen, feel free to follow us there because it's free. So feel free to do it for free. It's a fun F word. I'm with Cody tonight.
Yo, set's looking really nice. I like everything behind you.
Oh, you like that? Yeah. So this is the little corner. So we got one of the pay-per-views we're reviewing right there behind me, which is a little pay-per-view called WrestleMania 31. That was your pick, right? Whose pick was it?
That was the fan pick.
That was the fan pick. Okay. I just feel like you were really excited about this one.
I was.
So also included in tonight's podcast, we're going to talk about current events, which includes the Fastlane pay-per-view from 2021. That was last night, so we're recording this the day after that pay-per-view to give our feedback and reactions. And then also a lot of current events in the world of wrestling, including big releases from WWE and exciting AEW news, as well as other things happening in the world of wrestling. So let's kick things off, shall we? Let's talk about WrestleMania 31.
Absolutely. This is honestly one of my favorite WrestleManias. It's definitely my most favorite in the past 10 years. Just top to bottom, I felt like this card was absolutely amazing. Starting it out hot with a huge ladder match and even ending with what we'll talk about later. This entire card was just completely stacked, and that's the main reason why I think it's one of my favorite pay-per-views.
You know, honestly, it's a good show. I love any time that WrestleMania is on the West Coast, specifically because I love the sun setting and then having just kind of like your main events in the darkness, just lit up obviously by the stadium lights. I love that transition, and you really only get that kind of effect when you're on the West Coast. I know the East Coast ones, Miami, speaking of, you do kind of get some of that, but I just feel it's such like an afternoon party, because it is for the people on the West Coast, right? That thing, starts at like 4?
Absolutely.
Like 3 or 4 in the afternoon. So, I mean, I'm envious of people on the West Coast because you guys get to watch pay-per-views earlier in the day, and then you're not staying up until midnight or 1 o'clock trying to unwind from a pay-per-view. You're generally done by like 10 p.m. and then you're in bed, like unless you're doing something. But with Sunday nights, you usually have work the next day for some of us. So I'm envious of the West Coasters in that regard.
Yeah, and I mean, especially this one in the stadium that they were in. It's just how the sun was setting throughout the entire night. It was absolutely beautiful. The stage was one of the most immaculate stages that I can remember. It was just overall just a great pay-per-view.
It was. Shout out to Chat Lock joining us, Thunder joining us. Let us know if you can't hear Cody very well. And Trevor stepping out tonight. Family concerns right now, so we wish them well. So it's Cody and I discussing for those just joining us in chat. And again, shout out for those listening back in our archives. You can check us out live when we record these on twitch.tv/Dose of Nerd Acumen. And of course, check us out on YouTube as well. Just search for Dose of Nerd. Ugh, I can't even pimp my own brand. Dose of Nerd Acumen. You can find us on all social media platforms. Do I have the green screen filter on without the green screen? You know, I may. Let's see if we do that. We got technical issues as we're filming this. Thanks, Locke. Anyways,
The
we'll
lights do make it a little trippy when they're flashing like that.
They do. Let's see if that pops a little better. Yeah, I like the lighting is a little better. What's up, Lana? No notification again. I can't talk tonight. What is going on? It's going to be an interesting podcast. So let's continue on. Again, we are here live on Twitch, Cody and I discussing WrestleMania 31. And we talked about the setting, it being on the West Coast. What stadium specifically is this in?
This is the 49er Stadium in San Francisco.
And it's a beautiful stadium. I believe when they did this WrestleMania, it was within the first year or so of them building that. I could be wrong.
I'm not 100%. I know Levi Stadium is roughly 5 to 10 years old. So I mean that would make sense.
Yeah, they try to do that. It seems getting in newer stadiums. I'm shocked that Vegas isn't something that they've targeted with the brand new
Yeah,
Raiders.
and I feel like they're gonna get there eventually here soon because it's becoming more of a hotspot because you see like UFC and boxing there all the time, and they've been there, but you also have the the hockey team that just arrived there. You have the Raiders that just arrived there. So I mean, they're really starting to pack it in with being more of an attraction than just partying and gambling.
Exactly, and that's, I mean, getting like something like WrestleMania there as well. When obviously it's safe to be back in attendance, which is something we'll speak on later in the podcast. That's going to be huge. Personally, I think they may wait till 40, just a nice round number. But then again, who knows? Because I think they have 30. This year's 37. I think they have 38 and 39 already booked, so 40 would make sense.
Yeah,
But
because they have Dallas and they have Hollywood set.
yep, so 38 and 39 respectively. So 40. I mean, that makes sense to me. If I was playing a guessing game, we could bet on that and say we guessed correctly. We'll look back on this if we remember and say we were right. But let's kick off with the matches from WrestleMania 31. We're going to talk about the main cards mostly. Let me pull this up. Also, I had this as a doc so long ago. And for those that don't know, this episode specifically, how many times have we delayed this one?
Uh, 4 or 5 times. I know that we originally delayed for um a couple of weeks when you first moved.
Yep.
We were like, oh, we'll get back to it once you're settled in. But then it kind of got put on the back burner a little bit. Uh, and then yeah, we just ran into problems every single time we tried.
Yeah, and that we're in March now. March 2021. I moved in November of 2020.
Yep.
So it's been a minute. But we're here. We're finally doing this, and we're going to try to make this a weekly thing on Sunday nights, unless there's a pay-per-view that Sunday, and then we'll push it back to Mondays. That's just kind of what our working schedule is for right now. So we want to make this a more weekly topical thing so we can keep up with things, not playing catch-up on all of this stuff. So let's talk about the one of the dark matches, the Fatal 4-Way Tag Team match for the Tag Team Championship. How do we feel that about being a dark match kicking off WrestleMania?
I mean, I'm not surprised because it's a tag team match. And I really don't feel like, and it's not like this is a SmackDown Tag Team Championship or a Raw Smack Team or Tag Team Championship. This is when they were unified.
Yeah, it was just
So
one.
yeah, so the fact that you couldn't throw this, especially it being a fatal 4-way, onto the main card, it's a little bit of a problem. But I mean, you also got to think they this pay-per-view didn't have as many matches as most WrestleManias do.
No, this one, the main card only had 7, which you're into almost in teens on some of them, and it had 2 dark
Yeah.
matches. So 9 in
Yeah.
total, which,
So I feel like you could have pushed it up to the main card, but what would you have put on the pre-show? That's the real question. Besides the Andre the Giant Battle Royale.
yeah, and I mean, that was on the pre show. So those 2 matches, like, well, as we get to these are all main event caliber matches. Well, maybe besides one of them, but we'll get to that one. So this one featured Tyson Kidd and Cesaro coming in as champions. They retained against the Los Matadores, who are Diego and Fernando. Are they even still? When did they get let go? I feel like I haven't seen or heard of that name in quite some time.
No, I mean I think they just kind of fizzled out.
Then the New Day, of course, they are now 11-time champions. This
Time
featured
champ.
Biggie and Kofi, and then the Usos with Naomi, which obviously we know the Usos and the New Day are doing very well on the roster. Unfortunately, Tyson Kidd retired not long after this one, and then Cesaro's kind of mid-card shuffle guy.
Unfortunately.
So I feel this was deserving to be on the dark match. portion of WrestleMania. Just kind of get some faces out there, get some exposure to talent on the big stage to kind of get the crowd hype. Possibly deserving at this time for Kidd and Cesaro to retain the belts. I don't remember the momentum and push they had at this time. So,
yeah, and I mean, this is the type of match you want to open up WrestleMania for the fans, at least, that are in attendance. And even for, like, buy-in purposes. It's a fast-paced, hot match. Really gets it going from the jump. Get everybody excited for what's to come.
yeah. So we go into our second dark match, which was, as you spoke of, the annual Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royal, if that's not a mouthful. 30 people in this one. As you can see the image above me, if you're watching this, that's a lot of people in the ring, and it's, hey, you're not booked at Mania, let's get you booked at Mania kind of thing. And it's weird seeing some of the faces in there that they had in this compared to some others that were not surprising to be in there. I'm going to run through the names real quick, and you'll see if you remember any of these people being on the roster, if some of them are still on the roster, or some of them are great, or some of them, who's that guy? Curtis Axel. Is he even active anymore? I feel like I haven't seen him forever.
He's still under contract. He did not get let go when everybody else did. Him and Bo Dallas are still under contract.
Yeah, they're just not being booked. Like
Yep.
they've benched them. And B teams, chat is acknowledging B team, that underrated talent, underutilized talent, unfortunately.
Absolutely.
Adam Rose, he was another good talent that just had a weird gimmick. Same with Fandango, another amazing talent with an interesting gimmick, but they just didn't know how to do anything with it. Alex Riley, another good talent. They didn't really successfully push. Zack Ryder, obviously he's gone now. Bo Dallas, we spoke on him. Hideo Itami, another one that could have been or should have been good, but injury plagued him a lot. Diego Fernando, who were just in a match, so they were doing double duty at Mania. Sin Cara, Tyson Kidd, another doing double duty. Mark Henry, this is towards obviously the end of his career. I think he had one more big push around this time, and that was it. Connor and Victor, they got released, a year or two ago now?
Yep.
Darren Young, another, got released a few years back. Heath Slater, we've seen him, part of the releases last year, go and do okay things. I feel like he's been quiet as of late. He's over in Impact now, right?
Yes, but he's also injured.
That's right. He just had surgery. I forgot about that. Titus O'Neil, he'll be hosting this year's WrestleMania 37, with brother Hulk Hogan. That's a weird duo to host Mania.
What a combo.
Yeah. Jack Swagger, he's doing okay things in the AEW world, but better things for him in the MMA world. Big E, Xavier Woods, Kofi in this. Eric Rowan, obviously we know where he went to. Goldust, Kane, Goldust, another person that went to AEW. DK, did I tell him? What did I tell him? What? DK.
I think he's talking about Lana.
Oh. Uso, Jimmy Uso specifically. Cesaro, Ryback. Speaking of Ryback, he doesn't wrestle anymore. He just pimps
He talks about it a lot.
Yeah, which I'm surprised he hasn't gone anywhere yet. I don't know why he hasn't. The Miz and then Damian Mizdow. Talk about another talent that WWE failed to utilize.
Yeah, and a lot of the people you just named are actually doing great things other places now. Like Alex Riley, he's doing great things.
Where's he at now?
Alex Riley is in a tag team right now. Why am I blanking? He's on Impact.
Is he?
Yes.
He made that one... Didn't he make a one-off appearance in NXT?
He did. I'm looking it up really quick.
Because he was on commentary for a short minute, and then he had that angle. That was a couple years back, though, I think. Lock in chat says no one wanted Ryback because of all the shit he talked.
No, nobody wanted Ryback, and nobody wants Ryback even still to this day. Because he does go around talking like he is going to do something, but not signing anywhere.
What was his other name? Was he Skip Sheffield? Was that him?
Yes,
God, what were
in
they?
Nexus.
What were they doing?
Husky Harris as well.
I know. What the heck? How do you evolve from that?
Fuck later.
It's crazy. It's incredible that class. It's like that early 2000s class from Ohio Valley with like Cena, Batista, Orton. There's others. I'm failing to name names, but holy crap! Like it's rare that you get a class of stacked people.
Absolutely.
The winner of this Andre the Giant, as you can see here in the screen above, the Big Show would end up winning it. Oops. It was an 18-minute one too, which is surprising. Like these don't go for very long. Like these are generally just a few minutes. Like they clear out real quick with a couple spots for who's left. But this one went 18 minutes, so they really kind of kept the crowd going, and there was intrigue, and it was fitting that Big Show won. It was nice to see another big man win a big man trophy.
Yeah, I mean, this match was almost twice as long as the tag team match.
Yeah, looking at that, it was. That's ridiculous.
Yeah, that is wild.
Especially kind of like, I don't want to say throwaway because it is tribute to a great talent, but like, it doesn't give you anything per se.
No, I mean it's just filler.
Yeah.
It's just like you said earlier to get those people that weren't booked on WrestleMania
Yeah.
booked onto WrestleMania, and then really just filler for the fans that are filtering in, giving them something to look at until you get to the main card.
And speaking of Big Show, obviously hot topic within the last month or so. Big Show signed a contract as Paul White, and I love his shirt. No more BS. Like, come on, that's clever. Obviously standing for Big Show, but the fans are like, "Oh, no more bullshit." Yeah, fuck WWE. No, it's no more Big Show. But yeah, he signed a contract after. Hell, he signed for WWF in 1999. I believe his first appearance was St. Valentine's Day Massacre, the In Your House, the last In Your House pay-per-view in 1999. So that's 21, almost 22 years with WWE.
Yep.
That's incredible
Yeah,
because he was only with WCW for like 4.5 years.
Yep. Yeah, I mean, his entire career is incredible looking back at it.
Locke mentioned a thing where Vince called to wish him well to the Big Show, so there was respect there. And to be all honest, like on it, like Big Show he's at the end of his career. There's really not much other than like an ambassador role for him in WWE. So if you can go elsewhere and put over talent, by all means, Big Show, do it. There's nothing for him left to accomplish in WWE, and they weren't doing anything with him. His last appearance was that after WrestleMania match against Drew McIntyre, and then he had like one other appearance, I think.
Well, I mean, so from what he says, a big reason why he went over to AEW is because that last storyline that they had with Randy Orton, he said that he just felt disrespected, and he was kind of bullied in that entire storyline, even though he wasn't a big part. But I mean, you had all the other legends that were there as well. Shawn Michaels, Christian was there, leading up to, what was that, the greatest wrestling match ever?
Was it the greatest wrestling match ever?
No, but
but yes, yeah, I know what you mean.
Felt extremely disrespected by all of that. So once it was his time to re-sign, he decided he was gonna go help groom talent elsewhere, and I mean, it's okay. I mean, he's gonna be a commentator. I don't think he's gonna do much in the ring. If he does stuff in the ring, it might be little things here and there, but I know his main role is gonna be being a commentator on AEW Dark.
Yeah, I don't see him getting like a title run and like a big story arc or anything. He'll be enhancement talent. He'll put people over. He'll have spots, And
Yeah, I think mainly there for the same reason guys like Mr. Ass and Sting are there,
yeah,
more as like mentorship towards
the
the
real
other guys.
question here's the real question: will we finally get Big Show versus Shaq?
I don't know, but Shaq, that he did amazing in that match. Contrary to belief, he did very, very well in that match. He even went through a table.
He did.
Will
He did. It was awkward, but he went through a table. So I mean, yeah, good for Big Show. I mean, like I said, at this point, like for me, that talent signing makes sense. That's a logical move for him, and I get why. And it sounds like everything was fine. There was respect with Vince and everything. So good on that acquisition. But that was the dark show for WrestleMania 31. Let's head into the main card, and we open the main card with a huge ladder match for the Intercontinental Championship, featuring Daniel Bryan, Bad News Barrett. I'm afraid I've got some bad news. He's with NXT now as a commentary, so it's nice seeing him back. Dean Ambrose, Dolph Ziggler, Luke Harper, rest in peace. R-Truth and Stardust. Oh, Stardust. I mean, what are our initial thoughts? I have an image here. One of the many big spots. There was even a nasty spot from Dean Ambrose in this thing.
Yeah, I mean, I loved this match personally. I mean, I love chaotic ladder matches, like all of the Money in the Bank matches. That's just my cup of tea. Um, yeah, the so John Moxley or Dean. It's weird calling him Dean Ambrose now.
Yeah.
Uh, him getting tossed through that ladder on his head. That was just insane. And I mean, you had some funny spots too with Stardust pulling out his bedazzled ladder,
Yeah.
which was extremely tiny, and it just getting destroyed. Uh, Overall, this was a very, very good match, and they put on a lot of spots in less than 14 minutes, really.
Yeah, it was a fast-paced, like spot-driven match with a pool of incredibly talented people. I mean, Dolph Ziggler is one that I wish they would use so much better than they have. Even R-Truth, like, yeah, he's comic relief, but the dude's actually very talented in the ring. Stardust, a misused character in WWE, which, you know, eventually we know leads to his bitterness towards WWE, understandably so. And I mean, even this was like a tribute to Daniel Bryan, who's been plagued with injuries at this time, and he would eventually, I believe, vacate it shortly after this show, which would happen before with his last championship run. So this was like, he's back, he's healthy? Question mark. Let's give him a nod, and I believe he retired right after, or shortly after this.
Yeah, it was a couple months after.
So it was a nice nod, a nice moment for him. The Yes movement was still, you know, obviously over.
Very live.
He had won 1 year ago in the main event at WrestleMania 30. That was the height, I would say, of the Yes movement. So it was still very relevant, and he was still, you know, at the height of his career at the time. So a great moment. And overall, I would say this is a fantastic match to go back and watch. One of the better ladder matches I've seen.
Absolutely. I mean, it's definitely up there with all of the Money in the Bank matches. Not the one that was in the corporate office, but all the other all the other Money in the Bank matches. I mean, like I said, that's my cup of tea. And if you have what 7 men, all just high spots. I mean, it was just absolutely fast paced and incredible for the time that they were given.
Yeah. And I couldn't have asked for more. I wouldn't want the match to be any longer, any shorter. I felt it hit all the right notes, and it was the right placement to kick off the show. Like, I thought it was smart booking. I don't know if this would have fit anywhere else in the show. It was great to kick
No,
things off.
it's definitely a great way to kick it off. Rest in peace, Luke Harper.
Yes. And this image I have on screen right now, too, like I had mentioned earlier with the sunshine and just the outdoor environment, just kind of seeing this, it puts a different perspective on wrestling being outdoors than in an arena. It seems...
Love it.
It just seems different. I don't know how to describe it, but I love the visuals of an outdoor show.
Absolutely.
So our next contest, which at the time we didn't know of things it would set up to be, but Randy Orton defeating Seth Rollins, who was with Noble and Mercury. This is into like is this pre-corporate Rollins? This is pre-corporate Rollins, right? The Authority.
But no,
No, this is not.
I think of corporate Rollins as soon as he turned on the Shield. So with Jamie Noble and Joey Mercury, I think that was like in it, like straight up inside that gimmick of corporate Rollins.
Yeah, I'm just trying to remember the timeline. Obviously, we try to review things in a vacuum and not try to lean on a story arc payoff for match.
Yeah, I mean, if you think about it, not a couple months, but a handful of months earlier before is when Kane came out and helped Seth win the Money in the Bank.
Yeah.
So, yeah, this is like in the heat of the corporate Seth Rollins saga.
So the thing about this character too, quickly talking about the match, and we'll kind of dive into the character. The match itself was just kind of an average match. Like, I don't feel, other than the RKO, I don't feel there was anything bad, but there was nothing like amazing. Again, other than that RKO, there was a good back and forth. It was a good story, but it was just a standard match.
Yeah, I mean, that's kind of how I feel about most Randy Orton matches, though. Just his style of wrestling is very slow paced.
Yeah, it's very
a
methodical.
lot of less holds, and
yeah,
it's just, it is what it is. It's not for everybody, but
it's not bad.
It does tell a story,
and it does tell a story.
And this match wasn't bad at all. I mean, it was fairly good for what it was worth.
Mm-hmm.
But I do think the RKO at the end definitely elevated the match by a lot.
Yes, that made it stand out. That was a big moment, and the height on that thing was incredible.
Oh, especially the slow motion replays to it. He got some air on it.
And it was shortly after this that they banned the curb stomp for a short period of time. There's even, when they released the Best of NXT Volume 1, obviously Seth Rollins being groomed and grown in NXT for WWE, they panned to the crowd during some of his curb stomps and matches in that DVD set because it was released during this time period where they had banned it. So I'm so happy they brought it back because it's so annoying when they edit things like that. Wrestling as a whole is dangerous, kids. Don't do any of this stuff. Obviously not a curb stomp, but any of it is dangerous if you're not a trained professional. So stop editing things.
From what I hear, Seth was also putting a little extra on it when he first was doing it. And he did give at least 1 to 2 people concussions. That's also due to people selling it a little extra hard. But
so you're saying Seth injures people? Finn Balor, Sting.
John Cena's nose.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that. That was gnarly.
Broke that.
Yeah, I forgot about that.
That was brutal. I just watched the Best of Seth Rollins the other night, so that was on there.
On the network?
Yeah.
Speaking of, the network is shutting down in just a couple of weeks for us in the United States. We are stuck with Peacock, which has limited content. Speaking on that, as you guys are all here listening to this right now, our content is going to change. As I mentioned at the top of the broadcast, we're going to be covering current events mostly and maybe doing random retro reviews from time to time. But the focus on retro content is going to be placed on the back burner because our access to stuff is just going to be very difficult unless you have what's behind me, a near complete collection of wrestling content. Or if you pirate things, I guess that's another way to watch. Which I'm sure we could do too. So speaking on a little, as we were talking about diving into the character of Seth Rollins, I know we're going to be speaking on him. Spoiler alert, we're going to be speaking on him a little bit more later. And maybe we kind of close the pay-per-view with that. Let's continue on. We'll go back to Rollins because that'll be a natural segue when we close out our thoughts. So our next contest here on the card was a no disqualification match with Triple H and Sting. Yeah, that's right. Sting, the Stinger in WWE, his first match in WWE. Talk about a major signing at this time, especially so late in his wrestling career. A character that we never thought we'd see in a WWE ring, and we didn't get the opponent we all wanted. We got Triple H as his first opponent because he was trying to take down the Authority.
Yeah, this match, I'm trying to be nice to it, because the match itself actually wasn't completely terrible. And then if you look back on it and say, oh, we got to see NWO, we got to see DX come out. I mean, that part, the nostalgia was very good. Was it well past its point that they needed to be showing it? Absolutely. But I also feel like the ending should not have gone the way that it did.
DKA mentions the Terminator entrance.
Great entrance.
Was it, though?
I mean, I enjoyed it.
It was promoting a terrible movie.
Yeah, but I mean, the entrance was great. I mean, Triple H really doesn't have bad entrances, though.
I feel that's, if we're going to rank his entrances, I would put that on the low end.
It wouldn't be my top 3.
I felt it was just awkward. Sting entrance was cool. The thing about their entrances, I feel it would have had a better effect if it was nighttime.
I'd agree with that.
And I don't know if they fully consider that. Because like there's something about a Terminator in the daylight that's not as menacing than it is with proper lighting and darkness and the red glowing eye and like lasers and stuff.
Oh, absolutely.
Like even Sting's entrance is more effective in the darkness. So DK says they liked the Terminator movie. Really? That one? That was not a good one.
No.
So yeah,
I mean, both these entrances were great, though. I do think they would have been better at nighttime, like you said.
Mm-hmm.
But the match itself, it was 2 older guys out of their prime having a match. You had the nostalgia of the NWO and DX coming out.
And that was
you had
weird.
The Bat versus the Sledgehammer.
That was cool. The breaking in half. Like I thought that was neat.
Yeah, I mean, they had some good little bits in this. I think it could have been shorter. I don't think it needed to be as long as it actually was, especially if you're going to have Triple H go out on top.
Yeah, I think the decision to have Triple H win was just kind of like, hey, remember when we beat WCW? We did it again. And like,
yeah,
why have Sting show up to lose? Especially to Triple H who didn't need a win? Like, what is the point? And I get like the only reason to maybe not squash the Authority angle just yet, but why even put yourself in the corner with the booking of this match? Like it's weird. It was weird having DX come down and battle NWO. Like these are things that we wanted as kids. And it's like if we were to create a rivalry on 2K19, right? This would be something we would have booked. Yeah. Like that's what it felt like.
But you also look at the guys that are coming out, and Hall and Nash look extremely old. They don't look in shape at all.
No.
I mean, nostalgia was there, but it did not look good. It would have looked good 10 years prior. It would have looked good when WCW first merged over. That's when it would have looked good. But, I mean, this was, 2015? So
Chat mentioned, too, having NWO support supporting Sting was weird. I agree. I felt it should have been like a Wolfpack thing, and then X-Pac, who was, I believe, one of the only people that was in both NWO and DX.
Yeah, but I feel like that it was more because when they were coming out, I wasn't really thinking NWO as much as I was thinking WCW.
Right.
If
And
I'm being honest.
that's where I went with it first too. Obviously you hear the music, you see Hulk, you see the rest of them connect. It's just because I'm trying to remember back in the 90s too, like the formations, obviously there were many different variants of the NWO if you go back. And there were a lot of people.
Yeah.
It's just seeing the people that came down to support Sting. I don't recall all of them like that being in NWO at the same time. But again, I could be wrong. So it was weird. I'm still bitter. I don't believe the decision to have Triple H go over was the right decision. The only
No, I
reasoning was
think
for
that
the
was a very
authority.
poor one. Yeah. But even that, I really don't think it would have hurt the authority that much. I feel like they could have worked around it for sure.
Locke says Sting was never black and white. I don't think that's true. I could be wrong though.
Yeah, he was black and white in the beginning and then swapped over.
Okay.
I could have swore that he was.
Yeah. I don't know. Somebody look that up. Chat's saying conflicting things. DK says some other non-NWO WCW guys. I mean, who else would you have help Sting though? Breaking news from Raw right now: Rhea Ripley challenging Asuka at WrestleMania. So Rhea Ripley debuting on Raw tonight. That was advertised, so that's not really a spoiler. But challenging Asuka, who we already know they're benching Charlotte Flair because of things that we're going to talk about current events.
That later.
Yeah. So DK with the breaking news. Thunder says Ron Simmons would have been a good one for WCW. But even with Ron Simmons, his run in WCW, I remember him more for WWF. It's just me. I don't know.
I don't. I remember him more. The only reason that I think of like Ron Simmons with WWE is because of APA.
Right.
Ron Simmons, I think of his solo run in WCW.
I mean, I remember it, but I wasn't like a heavy WWE or WCW fan at that time. And I think that's kind of where, my memories will sway a certain way for that time period. DDP would have been a good one, but I don't know if it would have had the pop seeing DX and NWO clash. I think they wanted that for merch sales because that's a money thing that they can talk about, and I think half the time WWE thinks about that in regards to their booking decisions is the payday, not logic. Which is why we discuss this. Our next match, unless we want to talk any more about Sting and Triple H.
Nope.
Speaking of Sting, as we spoke on earlier, he is in AEW. He is assisting Darby Allin over there right now. And then shout out to Henry. My finger right there is me and the Stinger. We got to meet him at Survivor Series back in 2019 before the world went to hell. Our next match is a tag team match, and this is the one that I feel didn't really fit for the main card, but it's sad that this is the only women's match on the entire show. Talk about we've come a long ways.
Good.
No, it was not good. They got just under 7 minutes, and it was AJ Lee and Paige against the Bella Twins. And to be fair, all four of them are decent to great talents. But it was not a great match.
Yeah, I didn't really enjoy this match. It was a nice bathroom break. And unfortunate because this was, like you said, the only women's match on the card. And where we are today, the women steal the show.
Exactly.
99% of the time.
And that's what's crazy. This was just 6 years ago. Just 6 years ago.
I mean, the women's revolution has come a long, long way with the 4 horsewomen.
It really has. Because, I mean, right after this event, we saw AJ Lee retire. This was her, swan song. We saw Paige succumb to injury. We've seen both the Bella Twins retire. I believe they're being inducted in the Hall of Fame.
Supposed to last year. If they're transferring over, yeah.
Yeah, they're looping both ceremonies into this year.
Yeah.
So who was even the women's champion? Chat, if you guys want to confirm that. Who was women's champion during this time period for WrestleMania 31. And why were they not on the card? Like this is it's insane because I could be wrong too. Didn't the Women's Championship and Divas Championship still exist at this time, or did they merge it? Or did they retire the one?
It was merged. I don't remember a large span of time where they had both.
It was for a few years. It was like the late 2000s into the 2010s. And DK, yes, they did delete Batista's Hall of Fame. We still don't know why he was supposed to be inducted, but wasn't Paige the Divas champ? Was she she was in that. No, I don't think she was because I don't know. Somebody confirm this. we got to look this up. Who was?
I know that that Charlotte won it not long after this.
Did she?
Yeah, Charlotte came to the main roster and won it. I want to say that was 2015 because she was working both. She was working NXT and the main roster.
I don't know, but now I need to know because this is going to drive me crazy. Chat, someone look up who the champions were for the women's division. What pay-per-view? This is WrestleMania 31, Andrea. So you're going to want to look at the wiki for the women's championship and the Divas championship around 2015.
Well, if you go to the next pay-per-view, Nikki Bella's the champion. She defeated Naomi.
Weird. So weird. Why would you not? That's so weird. DK is on it, so we'll wait for his. We'll move on to our next match. As you can see here to the image, as I spoke on, this was the end of AJ Lee's run, and I think the two of them knew it in this match as Paige was giving a big hug goodbye. She would have one of her last appearances the next night on Raw. Our next match on the card, the WWE United States Championship. Rusev coming in as champion, facing John Cena. And Rusev arriving in a tank.
Oh my God. Can we just pause for a second and just admire the fact that Rusev came out in a tank? One of the greatest WrestleMania entrances of all time, in my opinion. The dude came out in a tank. A Russian tank at that.
You're saying that's better than the zip line from Shawn Michaels?
This is better than the Terminator, that's for sure.
It is better than the Terminator, I'll give you that.
Just the fact that he came out in a tank is just incredible. A functioning tank.
So DK confirms that Nikki was champ during this time, so she had the belt. For whatever reason, they just weren't defending it. Don't know why. But yes, Rusev, talk about a character that was mildly interesting in NXT. Had a one-off Rumble appearance. They repackaged his look. And then ups and downs for his time in WWE on the main roster.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, if they were going to push him at all, Rusev Day was the time to do it, and they still didn't do it. So,
yeah, that was the height of any intrigue for him. And talk about WWE doing somebody wrong. That angle with his wife.
Right after Rusev Day.
Yeah, how do you go from that
the highest point of your career to the lowest point of your career in a matter of months?
Trevor says correction to something said earlier. Curtis Axel was released in 2020. So he was part of the releases. Bo Dallas, I believe, is still under contract.
Shawn Michaels is another one. That was NWO and DX.
Shawn Michaels was in NWO? When?
Maybe a WWE version of it. Because obviously it wasn't WCW at all.
Yeah, no. The WWE, he was?
Yeah, when he super kicked Booker T.
Oh, yeah, I don't count that, though. That run was so short-lived and dumb. Like Hall got fired shortly
Great
after
choice
that
in
too.
hats though at that time.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. I don't count that time period. It's a let's sell some merch real
Yeah,
quick.
that's like trying to count WWECW as ECW.
Yeah, I don't know. Even that silver belt that they tried to say that was the ECW championship. No, it's not. That's
Yeah, I wouldn't I wouldn't count them.
yeah, that's I'll be honest, overall this match didn't really wow me, but I'm also not big on the character of John Cena or Rusev. So their styles are kind of blah. Maybe it's me.
Yeah, I mean, I thought it was a decent match. I mean, it wasn't the best match on the card, and it wasn't. It really wasn't the top three best matches on this card, but it was decent. I think John Cena's very good at what he does in the ring and telling a story and everything like that.
Yeah, I
The
mean
entrance
he gets the
were
job
better.
done. John Cena would go over and win the championship here. Again, this is another one of those like booking decisions. Like John Cena, do you need the win here?
A mid card title at that.
Right? Like really? Okay. Weird booking decision again. Especially this is like the later part of his career we didn't know yet. So like, I don't know. I don't agree with the decision. I think Rusev should have won, but it's apparently just our thoughts. If you agree, let us know in the comments.
Yeah, I mean, this is normal John Cena at this point. I mean, this is Rusev as a fresh face in WWE. John Cena kind of has a tendency of burying new talent when they come to the main roster.
Trevor makes
Um,
a really good point too. Can't have the evil foreigner going over the American. So I forgot about that as like a icing on this thing. You know, you have Lana and the evil Bulgarian brute
yeah, I
versus
mean,
America.
this was heavy into a Russian gimmick at this point.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the military star you can see in that picture on his trunks
Yep, and
and
the
everything
tank
like that.
thing. So
In the tank. So, I mean, I understand it. For, but I mean, if you really want your heel new guy to go over, this is the time to have him go over and win the United States Championship of all titles.
well, he was the champ going in. He should have retained it. That's how you get heel heat. He should have beat, the All American boy John Cena. Like
Yeah,
at some point, you got to put over new talent. I mean, Jericho did for Fandango, and like he wasn't
yeah. I
happy
mean,
about it, but
Cena's definitely refused a few times to put over some new talent. So you really can't say it's not Cena's fault in the end that he never really put him over, because I understand that it's not always his choice,
yeah,
but
but I feel if you're going to give anyone creative control in the roster, I think Cena has the biggest say, and he can convince Vince over anyone else on that roster.
absolutely,
So to
absolutely.
say it wasn't his fault, no, but it was also his fault for not speaking up if he didn't feel comfortable with it.
But I also think of it in a different way, because on Jericho's podcast, Talk is Jericho, he's talked about putting over Fandango at WrestleMania, and he was given a choice by Vince. Vince said, "Hey, you don't have to put Fandango over at WrestleMania." He wanted him to. He threw it on the table, but it was ultimately up to Jericho if he was going to put this guy over or not. He originally didn't want to, but he ended up going through with it.
Right, and
So I
I'm
mean,
glad he did.
guys like Jericho and guys like Cena and Randy Orton, they have a say in what goes on.
Chat says a lot of them, they say they don't book for the future, and that's why it hasn't been good in a while. I agree with that sentiment. I think that WWE's style of promotion is very reactionary. It's, we're going to throw this out there. Oh, the crowd popped with it. Let's drill this and beat this dead horse. They love to carry things too far and then neglect to do a proper story arc of beginning, middle, and end. They don't think long term. They're too reactionary to things. They try risks every now and then, but they're going to force feed you. And they're determined. Look at the story or the career of Roman Reigns until recent times. They were determined to get him over as he
As a
was.
face.
Right.
Yeah.
And it wasn't working because it didn't fit.
But look, as soon as they turn him heel, we see what happens.
Right. They need to be more observant. And no, they shouldn't listen to the crowd every single time because the crowd, wrestling fans are fickle. Y'all finally get something and then you all of a sudden, no, I don't like that. But you asked for this for 3 months, we give it to you, and then you're pissed. Like, I see that all the time in wrestling communities. And I don't understand it. But Vince is stubborn. But he's also got a style of booking that a lot of times you're like, oh, you know what? This was a good idea. But then a lot of times, this sucks. But also, I blame the fans. We complain too much.
About everything.
Everything.
Everything, good or bad. People are complaining. Well, we'll talk about it later.
We will. Well, let's keep going here and let's complain about this next match. The next match featured The Undertaker and Bray Wyatt. Undertaker, of course, coming back off his loss 1 year ago to Brock Lesnar at WrestleMania 30. Instead of continuing that narrative and passing the torch to someone again, especially for the likes of a character that desperately needed some wins in Bray Wyatt, he beats Bray Wyatt. Why?
Yeah, I mean, this match, I definitely think if you were going to have anybody break Taker's streak, and, well, even if not breaking it, but just beating him at WrestleMania
He
and
already had a
passing
loss.
that torch over. Exactly. But I'm saying, even if this was the first time, I think Bray Wyatt, a guy that's essentially the new age Undertaker, if we think about it.
Yeah.
At least at this time, he was. Passing that torch over to Bray Wyatt would have done magical things for Bray Wyatt's career at this point with this gimmick. Yes, he did win the WWE Championship as this gimmick, but I really feel like this was the time to put Bray Wyatt over.
Yeah, they failed to pull the trigger. They really should have. And we'd seen so many times, for whatever reason, they don't let him run with the ball. They give him a little bit, and they do nothing. The Wyatt family was amazing. They could have done so many things. And with a guy that has such an incredible mouthpiece, he's maybe not the most fit wrestler, but he can work. He could put on good matches.
And he can move in the ring. It's not like he can't move in the ring. He's very good in the ring.
He just doesn't fit that visual thing that Vince normally likes, the roided up big guys. But
yeah,
you can't have a compelling roided up big guy in the Bray Wyatt character. Like
Absolutely.
He fits that character physically because we feel like this is what you would see in the backwoods. Like you would see like Wrong Turn, like that's the Wyatt family. Psychos, yep. You're gonna run the F away from them. And like I don't understand. Because he's got it all. They built up all these convincing, like if I were to constantly sell you something and say this is the greatest, this is the best, and then you buy that and then it's junk, that's what I feel they're doing. They're building this up just to lose. Like why? Why give him that much screen time? Why give him that much mic time? Just to disappoint us. And I get you can't win it all, but he barely won. Like if we were to put a win-loss record, he would have more losses than wins. And I know a lot of talent has more losses than wins, but I feel specifically him. In bigger matches, pay-per-view matches, he's losing.
Yeah, for sure. Unless he was with the Wyatt family. The Wyatt family, they did get put over the Shield, so we can't really say that they really didn't get the push that they deserve because they were a great faction overall. Him as a solo act, he definitely got abused when he was out there by himself.
Yeah, it's unfortunate. Chat says Braun as Bray would have been terrible. Yeah, I agree.
Yep.
Trevor says, plus Brody Lee was great in the ring. Rowan was okay, but not awful. Harper, he says, whatever you want to call him. DK says Brody Lee could have been the new Taker.
I don't really know. I did really like Luke Harper's character in WWE with the dirty wife beater and everything like that.
Yeah.
I do feel like that gimmick fit him. But if you let the man talk, I mean, like he showed in AEW,
Mm-hmm.
he was a very sophisticated guy. He wasn't that stupid guy, and he could talk really well. So if you kind of merge the two worlds just a little bit, Brody Lee definitely could have been something big in WWE. And they pushed him a little bit. They tried to with the Randy Orton feud right after he got kicked out of the Wyatt family. But
Yeah.
after that, not so much. They just threw him back with Rowan because
Well, they
they
didn't know what
didn't
to
know what
do.
to ever do with him.
Yeah. And that's the thing. When you have such a unique character, you kind of get, I don't want to say typecast, but you kind of do. Like you get, it's hard to evolve out of something that unique instead of a wrestler with some flair. Woo! No, no pun intended. But you know what I mean, though.
Oh,
Like
yeah.
you kind of get really pushed over to one corner, and it's hard to come out of that as something convincing and different,
Yeah, absolutely.
unless you just to do a complete repackage. But even then,
Yeah, but I
like,
mean, looking back at it, that kind of is a really big repackage when you look at Luke Harper right before he went away with his, like I said, dirty tank top, and then throw him into a latex jumpsuit with the Bludgeon Brothers. That is a pretty big jump there.
yeah. But the problem was it was the same like duo.
Yeah, which they, like I said, they just never knew what to do with either of those guys. So they kind of just always threw them together.
Yeah.
I mean, and even if you look at Rowan with Daniel Bryan, he was very, very different from what he was prior, but he was still very good.
Yeah. Obviously, rest in peace for him. Who knows what could have become? I'm just pleased to see that he was able to do something important before his passing in the world of wrestling, and he'll be remembered on a more positive. Not to say that it was a negative for his time in WWE because it wasn't, but to live up to more potential, that was
Yeah.
nice to see. Breaking news: MX says Charlotte tweeted she tested positive for COVID. Well, that's horrible timing. So it's no wonder why she's been pulled from the advertising for WrestleMania. I thought it was more so in relation to Andrade, but who knows? That's interesting.
Combined.
Could be, yeah, a combination of both. Let's talk about the main event because we are long-winded like we said we didn't want to be. But here we are. Our main event of WrestleMania 31 was originally a match booked as Brock Lesnar and Roman Reigns. Did I do that all right? Does that sound okay?
That was good.
Okay, cool. So Brock Lesnar, the champion, heading into this with, of course, Paul Heyman. And at the time, like, this was an okay match on paper.
Yeah.
More breaking news from DK. He's a breaking news guy. Bad Bunny versus Miz at Mania. I mean, I'm not shocked by this.
No, we all saw that one coming.
Yeah. So on paper, this is the Vince McMahon match on paper. Brock Lesnar, Roman Reigns. This is the epitome of WrestleMania, especially of the 80s. The two brutes.
And nobody wanted it fan-wise.
No, not really. Like, I didn't feel it was proper time for Roman, but then again, like, who else were they grooming for this spot at the time? So,
No, I mean this is the Royal Rumble that even The Rock came out to
that's right. That's
celebrate
right.
with Roman, and even
The
The Rock
crowd,
got booed.
yeah, the
Seeing The
confused
Rock get
look.
booed, yeah, and he was just extremely pissed off at the whole thing.
I remember that now. That's yeah. The Rock's
Nobody wanted to see this match.
his. I wish I had that picture. The confused look of the Rock lifting the arm of Roman, like that. That sums it up. Like, what the hell? Because
Yeah.
clearly Rock hasn't been watching the product around this time, or else he would have known. How do you not like warn him that he's probably going to get booed?
I really think that they brought him out so Roman did not get booed.
For a
They
pop?
thought that, yeah, they thought that Rock would be the pop in all of it, and it would drown out the boos that may come down.
You know
But it
it's
did the complete opposite.
bad.
It did the complete opposite.
You
You
know
got
it's
no
bad
pop.
when The Rock can't save you.
No, he got booed even with The Rock. I've never seen The Rock get booed like that, like a go away heat boo. But there it was.
And that's what it is, too. This was the confusion of a lot of people. And back then, I had arguments with people on that very thing you said. Go away boo as opposed to a heel boo. We didn't want Roman in the wrestling ring. We didn't boo him because we hated him. We did not want him there. I shouldn't say we as all of us, but that's kind of the reaction and conversation I had with people. That is not we hate your character boo. That's we don't want you here, and it's very few people get that. What is God? What is her name? All Red Everything. Do you remember her?
You said her?
Yeah. All Red Everything. The girl. She was on the reality show, The Total Divas, for a minute.
Eva Marie?
Yeah, thank you. That was the boo she was getting because she was not good in the ring. And even Lana just addressed it in chat here. Same for All Red Everything. So.
Yeah, I mean, this. You can't even try to say this is heel boo because he was a face. He was booked as a face.
That's right.
So you can't even say that this is heel boo because he's never been a heel until now.
This is also when they pumped in audio for cheers for him.
Yep.
And his promos were all over the place in like the year or two to come after this too. Like he was so inconsistent with everything. They didn't know how to package him. And they did the right thing by having this match go just these brutes just annihilating each other. And man, it was a physical match. They put on a good match. And then it went from a 4-star match to a 5-star match because somebody's music hit.
Burn it down. Absolutely. I mean, we've talked about this before, and you disagree. But this was the greatest cash-in the history of cash-ins. I mean, think about it this way as well. You have two guys that nobody wanted to see. The fans would have been happy if it was a draw at this point. And then you hear Seth Rollins, who's actually a hot talent at the time.
And a heel, as DK mentioned in chat.
And a heel. And he was extremely over as a heel. And he's stopping both these guys that nobody wanted to see win from winning. I mean, this was beautiful in every facet of it. I mean, you're at WrestleMania in the main event. You're cashing in the Money in the Bank as a complete surprise after getting a huge RKO earlier in the night. I mean, this really hit everything for me, and the fact that nobody wanted to see these two guys win. I mean, you say that one's the best because it's the first, but I don't believe that.
Oh, you're reading chat?
Yeah, I am.
Did you see my gesture?
While I'm talking, I'm seeing. Yeah. But no, I mean, nobody wanted to see these two guys win, and Seth came down and saved the whole match, the whole main event, really.
I mean, I don't know if he necessarily, well, yeah, maybe he saved it, but like he elevated it for sure. The emotion too, like just seeing his genuine like appreciation.
The celebration at
like,
the end was
I've never
beautiful.
seen anyone whip a title belt around like that in the way he did. Like that was incredible. Like
a helicopter.
Exactly. I'll give him number 2 as the, greatest cash-in moment. His
I mean,
number
from
2.
you, I'll take that. I know you're a huge
And I'll
fan.
give him probably top 5 WrestleMania moments too. My number 1 WrestleMania moment is Eddie Guerrero and Chris Benoit at Madison Square Garden for WrestleMania 20, celebrating together. To me, that's one of the most important WrestleMania moments, and it's unfortunate that we can't celebrate that moment. But for me as a wrestling fan, I feel that's a very important moment for me as a wrestling fan, especially for how old I am and how into it was growing up. And I watched those guys' careers. I saw them rise. I watched literally every week. So that was a huge thing. And that's why I think personally, too, the number 1 cash-in moment for me is the Edge moment. Especially, like, it's smart. Why would you not cash in after an Elimination Chamber? Why would you join a match? Why would you not cash in until after it? That's smart.
Logically, it makes sense to wait till after.
Yeah.
But for the theatrical portion of it, I do like the Seth Rollins cash in for that reason. I mean, nobody saw it coming. You could see it possibly coming at the end of a match. I mean, if both guys are kind of laid out still.
Right, and we're groomed to expect it now because it's the history of the Money in the Bank, which personally, like, it's getting harder and harder to make that briefcase more interesting, which is why I think they've done what they've done with it in the last few.
Yeah.
But the first one, obviously very special and very interesting, and it Edge's my favorite. It elevated his career, and it was such a cool moment. I remember Vince coming down, telling the fans not to go anywhere, and saying the show's not done yet. Like that was cool. So didn't know what to expect back then. It was a very exciting moment. So yeah, concluding the end of the pay-per-view, we see that celebration here with Rollins at the top of the stage, and people. I mean, the camera shots of the crowd. They're just like, "What the hell just happened?" They were blown away.
Complete shock. It was an amazing moment, honestly.
So I think that's all the images I have of that pay-per-view. Let's talk about what happened last night, and then we'll end with current events. So last night was a pay-per-view for Fastlane 2021. It took place at the what is that? What are they calling that place? It's at Tropicana Field. Yes, Thunderdome. Yeah. So I don't know how long they'll continue to stay there because they're experimenting with crowds at WrestleMania, but only because it's outdoors in Florida. But this pay-per-view had a dark match of Riddle and Ali with Retribution, which was kind of a throwaway match just to kind of keep the momentum going for Riddle, who I'm not really sold on. But the most important thing coming out of this match was the ending with Ali and Retribution.
Which honestly kind of pissed me off a little bit. The match itself was decent, and I do like the camera going over to Retribution, and you can see T-Bars telling everybody to stay back, not to get into it, because that's what Ali wanted. And as well, Matt Riddle hitting the Bro Derek from the second rope was kind of nice. But it pissed me off because I really think that Retribution really could have been something special. I really think it had all the potential in the world with the guys that they had. And I mean, all they did was lose the entire time that they were there. They never did anything good. And to really have all these guys that are very good talents, besides like Dio Madden, but we really don't know much about his in-ring ability yet. Yeah, I really think this could have been a lot better than how they ended it.
So yeah, even chat is basically agreeing, saying they're excited to see them all on their own. And here's the thing, like the confusing, like if you're going to have somebody lose like that, at least have them lose in a prominent spot. They were given job spots against like somewhat okay name, like everyone, but like there was no like even losing, like you can put people over in a loss because it sets up things. Like a loss doesn't mean the end of the world. People can lose and still win with a storyline angle. This is just a loss on all fronts. There was no clarity added to what their purpose was. There was there's just no showcasing them whatsoever. And even with the Raw Underground thing, like nothing, like there was nothing positive for Retribution. It is a 100% failed angle and failed faction.
Nah, and it had so much potential to be something good. It had, I mean, it could have been what Sanity should have been. I mean, that was really their chance to make up for Sanity, and they failed.
Yeah, Sanity was another one that had potential that they failed to do anything proper with. And I think Retribution failed harder than Sanity.
Yeah, Yeah, I completely agree with that. I mean, at least with Sanity, you still have Nikki Cross doing her thing.
Right, somebody
And
came
then you
out of
have,
it.
yeah, and I mean, you still have Alexander Wolf down and Killian Dane down in NXT and NXT UK.
Yeah.
So you still have them doing things. Um, Eric Young, you have him winning a world title in Impact, but that's completely separate.
And like Chad says, I hope we see something positive come out of all of this. Because again, it is possible to put over talent even through a loss, but they've failed to do even that. Hashtag chaos in chat. Villain Club does it better than both. Villain Club, will they be featured this Friday at Acumania heavily? I don't know. Stay tuned. I have the card. Let's head to the main card. Let's kind of power through some of this because that's what I felt like we did with the show. We just kind of powered through it. Nia Jax, Shayna Baszler, tag team champions with Reginald, who he's confusing.
Yeah, he's been confusing. I mean, so I'm pretty sure me and you had this conversation a couple weeks ago. I said it really pissed me off when they book a singles champion against the tag team champions because you have to make one of your champions look weak.
Yep.
And the reason I brought that up was because they did Karrion Kross and Finn Balor against the tag team champions down in NXT. And I absolutely hate that angle, and they've been doing it for forever. Because you have to make one of your champions look bad in this situation. The way they did it in this match, it was okay. But in my mind, it kind of made Sasha look a little stupid because clearly Nia Jax pushed her and she didn't just run into it. And Sasha Banks was looking right at it. It's not like she wasn't looking. It wasn't behind her back. It was in front of her face.
Yeah. And like you said, it's a trend of this style of booking. It's been forever. It's one of those things when they're doing the territories of wrestling where you travel to certain things. You'd want to see your main event feature all the major champions, but on house shows, you're not having everybody defend titles. You're saving that for the pay-per-views, but it's turned into, well, we want to feature these talents. Let's just all throw them in a storyline together. You're just clustering everything into one corner. Too many belts on too many of the same people, and it's not good booking.
Ty made a really good point there.
Jumping on anyone's bandwagon, or
no, the Bianca not fighting back when she got bitch slapped was kind of awful. She got slapped multiple times hard.
I did not like seeing her cower down like that. That is not her character. That's not how they groomed her in NXT.
Nope. Yeah, and it kind of made her look a little weak.
It wasn't even like I respect you, I'm going to back down. It was, I'm cowering. And that weakens her. I don't want to say we all know because I feel they're going to put the belt on her, but again, it's weird booking. And it's like, yeah, why was she scared to fight back? That's a great point, Ty. Like I don't understand it. I don't know. I really hope they put the belt on Bianca. I really do. But we'll see.
I agree.
So yeah, this was a wild, just unnecessary match. I like the talents besides Nia Jax, just because she's one dimensional. Her matches are all the same and they bore me. But yeah, this show as a whole felt like a Monday Night Raw. Big E against Apollo Crews. I absolutely hate this gimmick, Apollo Crews. Go on before I really get pissy.
I hate Apollo Crews' gimmick as well, but I did kind of enjoy this match at first. I enjoyed the match all the way up until the pinfall. So the match itself was good. I liked both men being angry and aggressive, and
those splashes on the apron.
Oh yeah, exactly. I mean, even starting out with the spear through the ropes that early in a match was insane. But then you had what looked like a pretty bad botch of a pinfall that didn't look like it made any sense. Me and Ty were actually talking about it because it didn't really look like anybody got pinned. But then you had Apollo Crews get up and just demolish Big E over and over and over again. Where was that the entire match? The entire match, you did nothing. You got beat up most of the match. But then at the end of the match, you absolutely destroy Big E. I just don't get it.
Yeah, like if you're gonna put a repackaging into Apollo Crews like this, give him more momentum in this match. At least tell a back and forth story. But like it was just like Big E just scolding him for having a stupid gimmick, and that's what I felt like was happening.
Yeah,
And like, yeah, it was. And his accent, chat keeps talking about the accent. And like, I don't know accents in different areas of the world, but like, the only thing I can think of, and stop me if this is offensive or if I'm just way out there, but why does it sound like a Wakanda accent? Like, am I wrong with that? Is that offensive? Or like, that's the only thing I think of because it sounds so just kind of out there. Like, I don't understand.
I mean, it sounds. I think a Wakanda accent is just like a heavily tried African accent. So I mean, I get it in a way. I don't think it's necessarily like Wakanda but it kind of is because I don't think that's his normal speaking voice. So I think he's really just stressing extremely
and chat
hard.
says it's the Wakanda accent is based on a real African accent. And again, it's just the reason I say that because that's the only thing I relate it to, and it's because I don't, like I said, I don't know accents. I'm not trying to be offensive with it or anything like that. It's just it seems so contrived. And that's, I think, the problem I have with it. Just because we know that he's not, at least that's not how he speaks. And then to then claim this is how I speak, like it's weird.
Yeah, I mean, I get what you're saying because it's like Locke just said. It's kind of the same thing with
Kofi's Jamaican, yeah, and I think that's where it's jarring for me. And Batman says, "I think it's an awful gimmick. Lose the accent and still go back to the background, and that's fine." And like, it's just, I don't know. I don't understand. I don't understand. It's not my cultural background. It's not any of these things. I'll be the first to admit I'm naive to a lot of that stuff. So I can't commentate on it really. I just am saying, is this what's best for Apollo? And I don't think so. And whose idea was it? Was it his? Is this what he wants to go with?
Honestly, I have no idea. I don't think. I do like I kind of like the gimmick itself, but the accent kind of throws it. It throws it for me.
Oh, that's what ruins it.
Yeah.
Oh, it's not too late to turn
too
back.
fast.
Ty says it's too late to turn back. It's not too late. Have him just get like a concussion and then have him be fine.
We could just jump to the next match.
We'll
forget about it.
We'll jump to the next match. Oh my god. So this card.
Elias versus Braun Strowman.
Yeah, Braun Strowman and Elias. It was supposed to be Shane McMahon. He supposedly tweaked his knee training before the match. Okay.
Yeah, and cameras just happened to be on him.
Right.
Yeah.
And it just was a ass whooping. Braun Strowman destroying Elias. Why? Again, this felt like a Raw segment. This is really a pay-per-view match. Yeah. Like, okay.
Yeah, I didn't like this at all. I mean, you're just squashing Elias again.
Yeah. He's another one that has potential. He's got a good gimmick.
Another thing that confuses me a little bit with I had this conversation last night. So Jackson Riker, he's the reason Forgotten Sons aren't around anymore. And we can all agree on that, all the controversial things that he once said.
Yeah.
Why is he the only one from Forgotten Sons that is back?
Well, one got let go.
Yeah, the other two literally said that they had nothing to do with it. They disagree with his statements, everything like that. But he's the only one that's back on TV, and the other two are seeming to be punished.
Well, one got released because he had parties on New Year's.
Yes.
Okay. This is Vince's hypocritical stance. So I'm going to fire you because 2 months ago. Well, this was literally like, what was it? Weeks after New Year's, he had New Year's party, like the COVID parties was where they're summing up. So, like, but yeah, we're gonna sell 45,000 tickets in a stadium to fans just 3 months later.
Yeah.
We're still in a pandemic, Vince. Like, just because you want to sell tickets doesn't negate the thing that's happening, especially in that state right now. Look at spring break that's happening right now there and all the chaos. And Villain Club's not even there, and there's chaos.
DKA just said because Vince agrees with Riker. But the thing is, even if he did agree, he broke up the Forgotten Sons. He took them off TV, stripped them away. But the only one that is now on TV out of the three of them is the guy that got them kicked off in the first place.
Yeah, which doesn't make any sense. And he's not even the best talent out of them all either.
No, I mean, he's the biggest one. I mean, in NXT, he was booked as the leader and the powerhouse of it.
Yeah.
But still, I mean, out of all three of them, that's the guy that you decide to bring back. I mean, why not bring back one of the other ones to be just a lackey with Elias?
I don't get it. I don't get it. We're going to move past this. We've already talked more than the match was. Seth Rollins, Shinsuke Nakamura. Honestly, a good match overall.
I enjoyed it.
These are two guys that they're failing to utilize properly. It's nice to see Seth Rollins with his music back, but why was his music so quiet during his entrance this time instead of the big pop? And the timing of the pyro with the burn it down, did you guys notice that was off too?
Just a little bit, yeah.
And like he's mixing the Messiah with like he's just like this cluster of his gimmicks now.
He's the visionary now.
It's so like you're scrambling for ideas, and I don't like it. I mean,
I think his suit game was fire though. I don't know if you saw the pre-show, but his suit was top tier.
I mean, yeah, that's fine and all, but like, I just hope they flesh this out.
Yeah, I mean, I like Seth Rollins with whatever he does, to be honest with you. I'm just a Seth Rollins fan.
And that's fine. He's the best out of the Shield.
Yeah, I think that's why his Money in the Bank cash-in is also up there on my list, because he is one of my favorite talents. If he's definitely my favorite in WWE right now. But I did think this match was good. I do like Shinsuke being back to a face, and they took him out of the jumpsuit, which I absolutely hated. So he doesn't look completely stupid in the ring anymore.
That jumpsuit looked like it was made out of those like fruit by the foot sticks.
Yeah.
Like I felt like I could just eat his clothes.
So late in the match, Seth Rollins showed some new moves to his arsenal, which were very good, but he does have a little bit of heat right now with Lokai. I'm sure you know who that is. Mm-hmm. Lokai's claiming that those are his moves, and Seth Rollins is robbing them off of him on live television.
I mean, it'd be like us trying to claim the NAW logo's original.
True.
So somebody's stealing from somebody unless you truly invented that move. So.
No, and I mean, all of wrestling is kind of thievery.
Yeah.
Everybody's stealing everybody's moves.
So don't be that petty. Yeah, so like it was a good match. It was probably possibly the best-ish one on the card. I don't know.
I'd agree with that. I would. Yeah, I mean, this was, like you said, this was kind of a lackluster card in general.
Yeah. Especially heading into Mania.
If I was going to pick my favorite match on this card, it would probably be that match.
Yeah, I would favor that one.
Not saying that the next one isn't up there as well, but I do think this one was a little bit higher.
Speaking of the next one, talk about an ass-whooping match. No holds barred. Drew McIntyre, Sheamus. The right man won and Drew. But, man, Sheamus is an underrated and underappreciated talent. And I think...
Was it really the right call because you just said that Drew McIntyre was the right guy won. Now
Yes, you're not going to
McIntyre,
have him lose heading into a main event title match at Mania.
yes, but I feel like this would have at least pushed Sheamus in that spot. He could have at least been moved up to that spot.
But
We've
he's
been
not
seeing
getting
main
that
event
spot.
Drew McIntyre. We've been seeing main event Drew McIntyre for 2 years now.
Right, but you got to have him recover from losing the title and give him momentum into Mania. You can't have him lose to Sheamus, especially 3 weeks before Mania.
I personally don't like Drew that much. I don't think he's that great.
I'm not a
I
big
do
fan of
like
Drew either.
Sheamus as well. So I do think giving Sheamus that well-deserved push is very good. So I would have liked to see Sheamus get that push, to be honest. I think Drew has just had he's had his time for longer than most people wanted him to have it. And I mean that's fans being fickle because everybody wanted Drew to have that moment. But now I think it's gone on for too long and we're leaving a lot of really good talent in the back.
I mean, I don't disagree with you in that regard. I think Sheamus is a fantastic talent and he should be utilized better, but I don't think Sheamus should have gone over in this match. And again, it's specifically because 3 weeks before WrestleMania, you have Drew needing that final push for his title match. I mean, how else do you book it? Like you can't on
Yeah, I mean, I
like,
just think that if Sheamus would have gotten this win, it would have pushed him to possibly be in the conversation to be at least added to that match.
but he's not going to be, and that's why they did that. Sheamus will be an undercard match and most likely a multi-person match, and that's how they'll use Sheamus.
Yep.
The and it's unfortunate. I agree. Have they pushed Drew over the top this past year with quite a few flubs? Yes, the inconsistent booking with Goldberg, where they pivoted, where he was a heel for like 2 weeks and then he was a face again.
Yeah, and I
That
mean, I
was
think
weird.
the feud with Randy Orton went way too long as well.
But you also got to consider the safety precautions and why feuds have gone so long too. Why we haven't
I
seen a lot of
understand it.
crossovers, and it's why I think
Yeah,
feuds have stayed longer than they're welcome.
yeah, but I think that's kind of I don't want to say it diminished Drew McIntyre, but I think it diminished his reign just a little bit to where I didn't find it as enjoyable.
Oh, I hated it from the moment he went face, if you want my 100% honesty. I enjoyed heel McIntyre. I enjoyed his run and return in NXT. Yes, he got injured in his championship match when he came back and had to pick up steam again, being kind of a mid-carder on the main roster. But I think he proved his worth and did great things in his heel build. And, I mean, physically, he's an impressive-looking individual. He's
For sure.
he's come a long ways since his clean face, like tiny head, big body look. Like,
For sure. And I mean, he's definitely not a guy I want to see like get completely buried, but I think at this point, um,
but who do you pass the ball to? You're not going to pass it to Sheamus. Like, who's going to beat Lashley?
I hope it's not Drew McIntyre, to be honest with you.
It's not going to be
I mean,
because they want to lure Brock back in. That's your SummerSlam match with
yeah,
a
and I
crowd.
mean, yes, I think that's what Vince wants, but
That's exactly
Brock
what he
also
wants.
Brock also has his own opinion on everything
Oh, I'm
as well,
sure.
and he's not too happy with Vince McMahon, so it's going to take
And
a
that's
really,
but
really
that's
big paycheck.
but that's what it's going to come down to.
Yeah.
Because that's what they have to do here. Otherwise, yeah, Locke says in chat you're not going to pull it off Lashley. I don't think so. But then again, all these title changes recently, you had The Miz for a week. You had, like, there's been so much just kind of back and forth with the championship right now.
So I mean, when Drew McIntyre loses to Bobby Lashley, what do you do with him next? That's really what it boils down to. What's the difference in him losing here and him losing at WrestleMania with possibly Sheamus involved?
I don't know, but at the same time, we're already playing with a triple threat for the other title, which we'll speak on in a little bit.
That's true.
So I don't think they do 2 triple threats.
I'd agree with that.
And the physicality alone of Lashley and Drew, like, it's going to be an okay match. I don't think it'll be one that's going to change the world.
Should be.
But I also think about what they're playing with, too, for the main event for the other belt. I don't think that's going to change the world either.
No.
What it is nice to see is that part-timers for the first time in, 6-7 years?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, Edge could be an asterisk on that part-timer thing because we just got him back. And he's more of an active weekly role. He's not the traditional part-timer we would consider. But
yeah, I think my whole point to it was I think that I would enjoy seeing Sheamus versus Bobby a lot more than I would Drew versus Bobby at this point.
I mean, I guess, but like Sheamus would just lose anyways. So like,
yeah. I mean, you're throwing one of these guys to the wolves regardless.
Yeah. DK says Brian considered himself part-time. I wouldn't. He's fairly active for a part-timer.
Yeah, I mean, he's there all the time. He was recently putting over talent more than he was winning.
Yeah.
But I mean,
I consider your part-timer like Goldberg, right? He is under contract, but he's only agreed to 2 matches a year.
Or what Brock was.
Right. Yeah. Part-timer with a title. What the hell?
Yeah.
Let's go into her next match. Alexa Bliss versus Randy Orton. Immediately on paper, I'm like, WWE won't do an intergender match. That's not going to be a thing. The last time they experimented with this was the mixed tag stuff on Facebook.
What absolute great psychology this match was.
Oh, it was fun, but it wasn't a pay-per-view match.
Was the match pay-per-view? No.
Even the moment.
The return?
This is a go home before a pay-per-view ending match or moment. This Fastlane, that's the time to pull the trigger. Maybe we'll see the bigger reveal for Orton versus The Fiend at Mania, but like, okay.
I personally enjoyed this. I enjoyed it a lot. Between the Mario fireballs being thrown.
That's a great way to describe it.
Or Alexa Bliss dropping down the lights and almost hitting Randy Orton.
Clearly edited,
and then even going
way.
back in the ring and just playing with him and swinging on the ropes and just teasing him the entire time.
So this match was heavily edited. If you saw shots of the commentary booth, did they put together the table right after it got destroyed by Drew and Sheamus?
No.
Because the table was together for this match.
Because it was down. It was down when they came back and they were talking about the main event.
Yeah, so this was
they were sitting at an empty table. Yeah.
But yes, it had cool moments. Like this is that theatrical, the cinematic matches that we want to see, not overdone, but it was effective. Yeah. And the moment was cool. And yes, DK and chat, it is a good setup for Mania, but I just felt like this was like that last show before Mania go home moment. Like, where's the Fiend? Like,
I wouldn't want to see Fiend return anywhere else besides the pay-per-view. I would not want to see him return on a weekly TV show. I would want to see him surprise everybody at a pay-per-view. It makes it that much bigger. I think
but
him
it was
doing
expected,
it on a weekly,
though.
It was expected. It was expected as soon as the match Randy Orton versus Alexa Bliss was announced, to be honest. I mean, we all kind of knew that the Fiend was going to play a part in this.
MX says Orton's wife is legit pissed at Bliss for the way
she is. She tweeted at Alexa Bliss because how she was sitting on him.
And every fan wished they were Randy Orton in that moment.
I do like how they incorporated the melting mask, and he just looks completely burnt up.
So how do you book yourself out of that? Is he just burnt Fiend now?
I say yes. I don't think you go. He was burnt 3 months ago. All right, he was lit on fire 3 months ago. This is him now. You can't go a week later and turn him back into the regular Fiend. It's already been 3 months.
But didn't Randy Orton get burned and then he was fine the week after?
Yes, but this is 3 months after.
Lana wishes she was Alexa Bliss.
Oh.
I mean, we could have 2 wishes come true. Anyways, before I get in trouble.
Yeah, but I mean, Randy Orton, yes, he was 2 weeks after. He was burnt the next week, and then
he was fine.
Following week he was good. This is 3 months after the Fiend was set on fire. I don't think he's going to be unburnt now. I think he's going to be... It reminds me of, like, the Jason movies, the Friday the 13th movies.
Yeah, that's a good comparison.
Jason gets... Whatever happens to him in the movies before, you can see the effects on him in the newer movies.
Yeah.
So in chronological order, you can see the differences from what happened to him. So I feel like this is kind of playing off that. That's how I viewed it, at least.
That's how you sell more merchandise.
3 months ago, he was burnt. Now he still has the melted mask and the burnt skin, everything like that. I really don't think that they're going to jump back from that anytime soon.
You just put yourself in such a corner, though, for how much like prep work for your costume, your wardrobe, makeup, and all you have to do before your matches now. It's like, jeez.
Yes, in a way. I mean, the lights were kind of dark as well, so we really couldn't see how much detail was actually put into it. The mask itself looks like it's just a completely new mask. So that didn't really look like it took too much effort.
Yeah. Well, the hair too, like his dreads, it didn't seem right.
Yeah. So I mean, I don't know if there's more effort going into this attire than there was the normal Fiend attire, because the makeup seemed pretty normal. Yeah. The only real differences that you see is the forearms looked burnt.
Yeah, that's what I'm wondering if it's just like a sleeve or something that he just puts on like a glove.
In better light, we might see that it's just a sleeve.
And that's why they have to have special lighting again for his matches, or it'll reveal, the
lore to it. Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. I'm intrigued. I'm a big Fiend fan, so like, I'm intrigued, but I don't know. I wouldn't know where to book it. Fiend Day the 13th, says Batman.
And Bray did look slimmed down a little bit.
He did. Our main event of this pay-per-view was Roman Reigns against Daniel Bryan, where Roman retains. And man, this was truly the centerpiece of the show. A 30-minute match with so much to unwrap here. There was a lot that happened in this match. The thing that I just didn't like was Edge's involvement.
Yep.
I'm confused on what they're doing with him. And I haven't loved Edge's return. As weird as that sounds, I'm a big Edge fan. Yeah. He didn't need to win the Rumble. He doesn't need the main event of Mania. And just the involvement of Edge in this match is just weird.
Yeah, I enjoyed this match. Overall, I thought it was a very good match itself. The only thing that I didn't like was really the end parts with Edge. Him coming in and doing the pinfall and everything like that, okay, that was fine. But him coming back with the chair and hitting both men, and then...
And his temper tantrum at the end, like that was like, wow, what was that?
Yeah, but then, in my opinion, after that was done, you see Daniel Bryan and Roman both moving around after it's done, and Roman just crawls over and pins Daniel. Like, he was just moving.
Yeah.
He wasn't that laid out. Like, at least let Roman go over and lock in his guillotine or something like that to finish it. The way that he just crawled over and a Daniel Bryan that is literally moving around, not knocked out at least, just crawls over and lays an arm on him and it's done. I didn't like that at all. I think the finish could have been done a little bit better, even if they were going to keep the chair shots in it.
Yeah, it was an awkward finish. I didn't love it. The match itself was really good, probably second best match of the night. And again, all this is just narrative to build to Mania. That's all this show served as, especially 3 weeks before Mania. It felt like an extra episode of Raw. Like overall, that's what it felt like to me.
Yeah, I mean, you really had 2, maybe 3 good matches.
Mm-hmm.
One that stood kind of higher up, and thinking back on it, I might put Roman Reigns versus Daniel Bryan as the best match of the card. Just the ending, I didn't like too much.
Yeah.
But the match itself was a very, very good match. It was definitely above. It was definitely a pay-per-view caliber match.
Chat, speaking on Christian, let's talk just in brief here. And yes, triple threat at Mania is kind of what they're hinting at. Christian, of course, heading over as a big acquisition at the explosive pay-per-view by AEW. No. I'm waiting for you to yell at me.
No, I mean, you saw this Camden and Smile show. We kind of made fun of it.
Yeah.
A couple days after, so
you did. So a lot of people were kind of disappointed. The reactions weren't great, kind of mixed reactions. And MX says, "Yeah, what a wasted opportunity by WWE." But in all honesty, besides teaming up with Edge for a tag run, which clearly they're not doing right now because most likely we're going to put the belt on Edge. They weren't going to do anything with Christian. That's why they let him go. And if he wants to come back and is healthy, why not go to AEW?
I think the thing of it was most people that really sat down and thought about it, there was really only 2 other people that it could have been, realistically. One of them, I don't think anybody really wanted in Kurt Angle.
No.
But the other one would have been huge, which is who I originally thought it could have been after sitting down and thinking about it, was Brock Lesnar.
Okay, Brock Lesnar. Brock Lesnar, no. I mean, Khan has the money. Khan has the money to pay him, but
Khan has the money. Khan has the money. We know that Brock Lesnar is not that loyal, and he's extremely pissed off at Vince and has been pissed off at Vince for over a year. It could have happened. It easily could have happened, especially the money portion of it. Tony Khan is a very wealthy man. I think they could have easily worked something out, a multi-million-dollar deal to at least have him show up for a little bit, just as a hey, look what we got. We have the guy that you claim, hey, this is my attraction.
I just don't see him fitting in the world of AEW. He seems...
Brock Lesnar, I would love to see Brock Lesnar versus Brian Cage. Honestly.
No.
I would really like to see.
There's really no one that I want to see him face off against in AEW. Not a single person.
I mean, I disagree. I like Brock Lesnar, though. And
I do, too.
You said before that you like Brock Lesnar.
I do. He's one of my favorites. Brock versus Omega? Yeah.
I think, okay. I'm also a big Kenny Omega fan, so I would love to see that, honestly. But I'd also like to see Brock Lesnar get in the ring with a guy like Ray Phoenix.
Sting. Oh, God.
Ray Phoenix would be an amazing match with Brock Lesnar. You have the best high flyer for the past 3 years. At least that's what he was rated. So he has those awards. And he's literally just an amazing talent against a monster that is Brock Lesnar.
DK says Mox. We've seen that. We've seen him at WrestleMania against Dean Ambrose. He got buried by like 40 chairs. It was stupid. I don't want to see that again.
It was a violent match.
And now it's stupid. No. I don't know. Would it be shocking if Brock showed up to AEW? Of course it would be shocking. That is big.
I mean, at that point,
big.
I really don't. I really don't think it matters who he gets in the ring with at that point.
Yeah, no. If they sign him, that's big enough. Who cares? But I mean, sure, DK, it was WWE. Would it be more explosive in AEW? Who knows? I don't know. I
They
don't.
played that off really well, to be honest.
They tried.
I thought what they did was the best thing that they could have done in that situation.
Well, yes, in that situation is the best thing they could have done. It's unfortunate too because most people are going to remember that moment as opposed to the actual decent card that they put on prior to that moment.
Yeah.
So, but yes, AEW
And the match
is.
itself before that was very good.
And that's what I'm saying. Like, they're putting out good stuff. My only thing that I ever sit on as far as, or stand on as far as my soapbox in regards to AEW is they need to stop focusing on anytime they acquire talent from WWE where they have to badmouth WWE in some way. Like, just put over your talent and be better. Don't be bitter because
But
they
I
have
also don't
potential.
think that's AEW.
I don't know. No,
Personally-
that's how they were formed. Their whole premise is elite. We hire elite. No, you hire former. All former wrestling. AFW.
Okay, but this is my thing. Okay, we'll lead into this segue really quick. So Andrade, let's talk about him for a second.
Andrade will be on AEW Wednesday. Bet you. Bet you.
He has been released, and he has been released without the 90-day.
That's what I'm saying. Without the 90-day, he will be on AEW Wednesday. Bet you.
Okay, if he does go to AEW, we are going to see the comments about AEW only takes in guys.
They don't only take, but they do take.
You'll see those comments. You know exactly what I'm talking about in
yeah.
those comments. But my whole point of it is, and I've said this to you multiple times, and you told me to always say it on here, is I don't understand people look at a talent like Andrade, who is in the prime of his career. Why would he not go to the place that, one, he will make the most money, and two, he will be, you're shaking your head now.
Right, because that's not what I disagree on. I agree completely if somebody is in the prime, if they're physically able and somebody wants to hire you, why would you not be employed somewhere else? Of course you would. That is not the soapbox I stand on. It's when you do get acquired that you just badmouth your former employer. That's the first thing you do instead of introducing yourself and starting a new way. Your first step forward is to look what was behind you instead of just closing that chapter and starting anew. That is the problem I have, not the idea that they should be employed somewhere else.
Absolutely, but I also view it as a form of closure for some of these guys, like Moxley.
Sure, but when it becomes every single character for the most part, then it's problematic.
But that's the thing. It's not AEW saying it. It's the creative freedom that they give their talent.
And that's fine.
That they can say what they want.
And I know it's not just AEW. It was Impact. It was WCW. It was WWF. It's been that way forever.
Correct.
And to me, that's the problem I have. Be better, not bitter. And that's why I hate it so much. Because it's the easy go-to. It's how you get somebody behind you. It's like, yeah, that fucking company, I'm not there anymore. But I'm here now with you guys. You're watching. You love me, right? I'm here for you. Cheap pop.
Yeah, and I get your sentiment. What I'm arguing is more of other people that you see online on these posts that claim that AEW takes in guys that couldn't hack it in WWE.
Oh, that's not true. Like any talent can hack it if you're properly booked and properly groomed.
Absolutely.
Well, any with asterisks. Not everyone has it, but
who's in the prime of his career. He's the best he's been in his entire career. He did great in NXT.
He did fantastic in NXT.
Why would he not go to one where he will make the most money, and two, be on national television in the United States, and three, be able to stay in the state of Florida with Charlotte Flair?
Right. I don't disagree with any of that. I 100% think that is a logical move. Of course, if I didn't have to move somewhere or move away from my job, I would stay put or relocate, if you will. Of course, I would easily just go to what I already know. You're not starting a new profession. You're staying in the world that you know. Of course, you're going to get employed. And like I say, with a lot of the wrestling community, and I know we're doing a wrestling podcast, and I'll piss off our listening base by saying this, but a lot of y'all are fickle about things. And you're so biased and closed-minded on a lot of things. And I'll say this right here. I am angry with how WWE does a lot of things, and I will speak out on them, same as I will speak out on any other company. I'm a pro wrestling fan. I am sure I love WWE probably the most because I have the easiest access to their content. Well, previously, before they went to Peacock, and my library content, I have reached out to AEW and their marketing team multiple times saying, hey, when are you going to release more DVDs or pay-per-views? I want to buy more of your content. I get no response. I get no response on their social medias for those questions. I want to consume your content, but I don't want to pay $60+ every time you have a pay-per-view. I have a network that I can subscribe to, or Peacock now, for $5 and watch WWE. It's easier accessible, and it's international as well. It's ultimately why I kind of have a bias or a favor for WWE, because I can consume the product easier. But with the TV deal with AEW, of course, it's become easier to consume their product. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah, absolutely. No, I mean, I completely agree with you on that aspect of things. And I do agree with...
You're cutting out.
I do kind of... Like I said, I view it as them finding closure. And if you're going to find closure anyway...
and that's fine. It's, again, if that's what you want to do it. Like, if that makes you feel better, do it. But it's the continued, like, this is every time. It's just what I expect. It's like, okay, you're showing up. Okay, now you're going to badmouth. It's just deflating as, like, the potential of seeing a new chapter out of a character. And not just being...
Yeah, absolutely.
So,
I mean, I don't see it as big of a deal as you do, obviously. But, I mean, it is what it is. Everybody has their different opinions about things.
Well, it's because everybody wants a war. Everyone wants to relive that magical era of wrestling in the 90s. Everyone likes... It's like Xbox, PlayStation. Everyone just wants to shit on the other thing. We can't just all like everything. It's just like this past weekend, right? The Snyder Cut came out of the Justice League. All I'm seeing on social media is like, fuck you, Joss Whedon now. Like, why? That movie was good. And if you hated that movie so much, why do you love this new one so much? Because it's a lot of the same stuff with just a different formatting of it. It's this...
Exactly.
It's this... You want to just have war with things. And that's what they want. They want to create these unnecessary rifts. And yes, Locke, that is a whole other thing. Whedon is getting shit on for other reasons. But I'm speaking of the movie itself, not so much him as a person and the actions of such person. But I'm speaking on the idea of people just want wars with things. It's the history of mankind. That's what we do, apparently. It's just so unnecessary. Like, why can't we like things? Why can't we like both things? It's possible.
Yeah. And that's where I sit, and that's why I dislike seeing it on both sides. Yes, I do critique WWE heavily.
As you should. They're not amazing. They're not the best.
But I also critique everybody else the same way when they do poor things. Mm-hmm. And I also praise companies when they do good things, including WWE. So, I mean, I wish more fans had that mindset of being more open towards the AEWs, the Impacts, the New Japans, the ROH, the NWAs. I mean, I really wish that more people were open to at least giving other places a chance.
I just don't think that'll be a thing that exists. Like I said, with just human nature and the way people are, I don't see that being a thing, and I just don't think it'll ever happen. I think half of it was what DK said in regards to maturity, earlier in chat. I don't think a lot of, especially the demographic for wrestling fans. Look at the main demographics for who they appeal to, like who watches wrestling, the stereotypical person, generally lacking maturity. And again, I'm alienating the listeners right now, but there are some that'll probably agree with me and have an understanding. So, I mean, that's a lot of the big stuff. AEW still continuing to knock it out of the park. They've had, like, a highlight recently was, Trevor was speaking on it, Britt Baker, the bloody mess.
Versus Thunder Rosa.
Yes.
Absolutely amazing match. Me personally, I will put it in my top 3 women's matches all time. Um, I mean, obviously matches like that aren't going to be for everybody, being that violent. But I think they did very well. The build was very good for this entire feud, and this blow off was it. It was very fitting for the feud that they had, and I thoroughly enjoyed the match itself.
Yeah. Ty says in his personal
I mean,
experience,
it's rare.
they got turned off to AEW by AEW fans who shit on everything WWE does. And I mean, it's
See,
because
but
people are so
I
desperate for
see
an
it on both
alternative.
sides. Yeah, I see it on both sides, and
Oh, it is.
everybody should see it on both sides.
It
Everybody
exists.
should see the AEW fans that shit on everything WWE, but you should also see the WWE fans that aren't actually watching AEW that are still shitting on it.
Yeah, I mean, it definitely exists. So, Cornette. Yeah, I mean, screw Cornette. I'm not gonna get into that one. So, I mean, really, there's a lot of current events. Tonight's episode was really to highlight WrestleMania 31 and the Fastlane pay per view. What I want to continue to do, if you guys as listeners and viewers will join us Sunday nights outside of pay-per-view Sunday nights, we want to continue this show with your guys' support and chat. We want to chat with you. We also want to have guests on. If there's something you're really excited about, we don't want too many people, so we'll rotate through people that are interested in joining us. And of course, Trevor will be returning to the show as well. So we don't want, again, a full house of people. We'll want the 3 main and then rotating 4th chair. So if you're ever interested, let us know. Is the stream freaking out or just you? I don't know. Cody, you still with me?
Yeah, I'm still here. On my TV, you were skipping around a little bit a couple minutes ago. You're good right now, though.
Oh, okay. So are there any like dire things that we can't do in our next one regarding current events?
Um, Not necessarily.
Okay.
I mean, we'll see what this week holds.
True. So be on the lookout for our next show on Sunday. If all goes well and all goes as planned. We'll keep you posted. Of course, the best place to stay posted to DNA and the Nerds of Wrestling content is the DNA Facebook group or the NAW Facebook group. You can search for those by searching for Dose of Nerd Acumen, groups/Dose of Nerd Acumen, or groups/Nerd Acumen Wrestling. And then we're available on other social media platforms as well, such as Instagram, Twitter, YouTube, and of course live on Twitch. And you can check any of our archived podcast episodes on your favorite podcast platform by just searching for Dose of Nerd Acumen. So do so. But in closing, I know some of you are here, and yes, join our Discord if you would like. We have fun chats and interactive content there. All right. You guys are here for something, right? You guys want to know the Acumania card?
No.
No, you don't. So Acumania, NAW is celebrating its 300th episode this Friday night on twitch.tv/Dose of Nerd Acumen, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Join us for a stacked card, our 300th episode. Here are the following matches that are being booked. In this order. Match 1, the DNA Championship. Birch, the champion, will be defending against the following. Camden King. And you can applaud or boo if you want, Cody. His reaction.
Oh, you kind of tweaked out there for a second. I couldn't hear what you said. I heard Birch.
Oh, I'm doing the card and I'm freaking out. That's wonderful.
Well, the Discord freaked out.
Oh.
The video didn't. Yeah, but I don't have the volume up on the video.
I'd say that's problematic if it's freaking out. Okay.
No, you're good now, though.
All right. So Birch, the champion, the DNA champion, will be defending against the following people. Camden King.
Yeah.
There it is.
Justice.
Chase. Havoc.
Yay. Yeah.
Phoenix.
Oh, Desi.
Canyon.
Yay.
Mikey.
Oh, another legend. There we go.
And Slash.
I like that. I like that.
So here we go. I'll put it in chat. There's your DNA Championship match, kicking off the
What a
main card.
match. 2 returns in that match as well. That's beautiful.
Our second match, a tag team qualifier match. 4 teams, the first of 2 during the show. The winner of this will advance in a TLC match for the returning women's tag. The competitors are Alyssa and Selena Storm, Absinthe and Scarlett, DKA and Ranglo, Amy and Emmy.
And this is the inaugural.
Oh, the
women's
returning
tag
tag.
team
We've had women's tag before, but this is the returning. Next, we have the Twitch Championship. Igor the Champion defending against Aaron, Alexei Dragunov, Colossus, The Way, and Creed.
It's a pretty stacked match there.
The Women's Twitch Championship, Lana the Champion will be defending against a returning sister of hers, Amanda. Also, Andrea D, Amy, and Tammy.
Wow, that sounds like a match that we would have seen like last year.
Right? IROB will be battling Wicked.
Get ready to settle the score on this one.
In our second tag qualifier match, we have Britt King and Amber Sparks, Kira and Lana, Becca and Lilith, and Smalls and Tammy.
I'm really excited to see how that whole thing plays out.
Settling the score once and for all, we have a grudge match featuring Team Foundation versus Team Prophecy.
Interesting.
Following that, immediately, we have a KO rules match. Nightfall with Marky B will battle Adrian Cross with Ricky B. The winner will have ownership of NAW. And keep in mind, if Cross wins, episode 300 is the last show of NAW as we know it.
And you're putting that in the middle.
Yeah.
Bold
So
strategy.
the rest of the show could be considered just farewell matches and the final champions. Then we have
incredible.
Our Women's Tag Team Championship TLC match, where the winners of the first 2 qualifying matches. We then have the Men's Tag Team Championship match. Trevor and Shane will be defending against 3 teams. Team 1, Lee and Hoku. Team 2, Legacy, getting their revenge on Villain Club. And Team 3, Cam and Smiles.
Justice Royale.
Our Women's NEW Championship match. Britt King, the champion, will be defending against Alyssa, Jade, Kira, and Becca. The NEW champion, Slyko. Should I reveal?
Sounds like you're about to. I wouldn't. I would leave it a secret until Friday.
Have I decided if I want to face Slyko or Colt?
Because I know where you're supposed to announce that.
Right, but will I just announce now for the people that actually showed up tonight and then elaborate more on what I'm going to do to who I'm challenging?
That's going to get leaked around. It's going to get leaked.
That's fine. I'm going to be on the show regardless, and I want to elaborate. So I'm going to reveal now, since you guys are here, and you guys took the time. The NEW Championship match, Slyko will be defending against me.
What a build. What a build you just did. That could have gone either way, honestly.
And I will be with Lana at ringside. Well, she will be with me, rather. Let's fix the wording on that. So, Slyko,
Elizabeth.
your title is mine. I will elaborate more. Make sure you tune in to the Cam and Smile show, because I'm going to explain more on what I'm going to do to you and why I'm going to end you in the Villain Club. You're not going to want to miss Friday for that. Our Women's NAW Championship follows that. Storm will be defending against Lana, Smalls, Lilith, Sparks, Absinthe, Scarlet, and DKA. Now the biggest question of all.
Have you thrown any gimmicks onto any of these matches?
There will be gimmicks on some of them, yes. Tune in Friday to find out.
Okay.
And in our main event, the NAW Championship, Colt, our champion, will be defending against. But wait, Trevor says after Sly gets done with me, I'm going to be wishing I was back in House Satan. I don't know. Cody, let me ask you this. Who do you think Colt should defend against?
Earlier today, after the altercation that took place, I originally said that Colt should be defending against the entity known as DKA. So I would stand by that statement.
So could it be DKA right before this getting a women's championship match, then in the very next match getting the men's championship match and taking home both belts simultaneously on the same card? It's not DKA.
What a build.
Colt will be defending his NAW championship against Smiles.
Oh.
And
Justice.
And the end. And
wow. Oh.
Celestial.
I'm waiting
and
to see if... Oh.
Trevor.
Gotta have one more. That's only 5.
I do have one more for you. Rated.
Good for Rated.
Oh, but wait. I have another. Marky B.
That's 7. You gotta have 8. There's
I
no
do have
7-man matches.
I do have 8. MXG.
Well played. Well played.
That will be your main event for the NAW Championship. All of them former champions in a showcase of NAW champions in the main event of 300. No cheer. Yeah, no cheer log. I turned off the alerts because I didn't want the echo. So that is your card. There's also an undercard. A dark match battle royale will be kicking off the show. And Ty, no, the main event for the NAW Championship is not over the top battle royal. It is elimination by pinfall only.
What a card. And there is nobody that I can think of that is missing.
At least active.
Correct.
Ty says I have a chance.
And I mean, you have some of the not so active people on here as well.
Yep. I tried to mix it up as best I could, and this is the card I came up with. So.
Yeah, I mean, you have a great mix of people that don't show up that much, people that show up every week, legends that are returning. Overall, this card is looking extremely stacked.
So buckle up, everyone. Friday night, 8 p.m. This is going to be the place to be. It's going to be a long night. Get snacks. Stay hydrated. This might be our longest episode of NAW ever. And it might be our last if Cross wins. So let's celebrate everything that is NAW. And I hope to see you guys there. Cody, any parting thoughts?
Yes, I've been wondering this entire time. What is your shirt? Is that a Jack Swagger shirt?
We, the people. Yes.
I was wondering that this entire time, but I didn't want to bring it up. But yeah, that's a great shirt. Can't wait for Friday. That's going to be an amazing show. It's already adding up to be amazing. Don't miss the Smiles in Camden show with guest Gravity Well.
I got some words for you, Sly. Tune in. But that's all the words I have for now.
Same.
Thank you, Cody. Thank you all.
Thank you all.
We'll see you on the next NOW podcast. I'll do my best to promise you, and hopefully Cody will too, that we don't make it another 3 months, that you guys have to wait for one of these. If you guys enjoyed this, make sure you follow us on podcast platforms. Give us those views and listens. Make sure you like, share, comment, and click those notification things because that's what people say in their shows for you to do. So do that.
Well played.
It's true, though.
Well played.
I don't know. Until next time, good night, everybody.
Stay royal.